AVC Tony here. Tony's LPs are us. Thanks for stopping in. I want to show my appreciation to all of you by thanking everyone who is subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider it. Press that button. It really helps us out. We're trying to build our channel. We're trying to give you news and reviews and show a lot of vintage records that I've collected over the last 50 odd years. But this video is not about me. It's not about LPs or us. It's about John Mayall, who just passed away at the age of 90 on July 22nd, 2024 in California. John was born on 11/29/33 in Northwest England. Like I said, he was 90. He began his musical career, I guess, from listening to blues, jazz, 78s, or as the norm would go from a person born in 33. But in 1962, he started, I guess, his professional career with the Blues Syndicate. From there, he went on to form the Blues Breakers a few years later. And I'm going to talk about those albums. I'm going to show some of his albums that I have. He has over 70 albums. A lot of them are compilations. I'm not sure how many albums are his specific different bands. He had multiple bands through the years. People would come and go. It was kind of a revolving door. But when I read off some of the people who went on to form their own bands and to become giants of the blues and rock industry in even California, America, and mostly from Europe, England, I'm just going to go over some of those bands now that people in the band with the Blues Breakers went on to form their own bands and were critically acclaimed. You have Canned Heat, Fleetwood Mac, Keith Hartley, Coliseum, which is a very obscure band but really rocks out. Stone the Crows, Paul Butterfield Blues Project, Champion Jack Dupree, Walter Trout, the great New Jerseyan Walter Trout, who I can't say enough about. Mark Almond Band, who, if you don't have any Mark Almond albums, pick up Mark Almond. The Ventures, Coco Montoya, Manfred Mann, Gary Moore, McGinnis Flint, The Nice, that went on to become ELP, Cream, of course. Just it goes on, and I'm going to go over some of the actual individual artists that were on the records as I go over them. We're going to start off with his first Blues Breakers album, which featured Clapton. Clapton had just left the Yardbirds. Clapton didn't stay with the Blues Breakers long. He went on to form Cream. Kind of did it behind John Mayall's back. Kind of had to tell him last minute, I'm leaving, I'm forming my own guys. And Eric said in his autobiography, which you can see behind me, that it was real tough on him, but he had to move on. He didn't want to get, I guess, stuck in that group with John, but John started him off in a way to propel him, because this album, Blues Breakers, has some of the best Eric Clapton solos you'll ever see, you'll ever hear. All Your Love, Little Girl, What I Say, Stepping Out, just a fantastic record. This is a reissue. The original is accessible as well, but this sounds pretty good. But in his autobiography, like I said, he indicated that John was like a father to him, kind of took him under his wing. When he joined the Blues Breakers, Clapton lived with him and his wife for quite some time in their house. He met John at the Marquee Club with Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker and Graham Bond, who were all bluesmen, as you know. And Jack and Ginger went on to join Cream, form Cream with Eric a few years later. One interesting note that I read in Clapton's book was that John did not allow any alcohol when they worked, which I guess meant rehearsals, and definitely you better not come to the gigs drunk or stoned. So I thought that was interesting, being a blues man. You know, that kind of came with the territory. Doesn't mention anything else, but there's volumes written on John. There's so much stuff. I did some quick research, and you know, this is just a quick tribute. I felt like I had to do it. I've been listening to his music for 50 years, and he actually turned me on to people like Coco Montoya and Walter Trout. Of course, Peter Green was in the band, went on with Fleetwood Mac. So we have this one. I'm just going to show this first. These aren't in any order. I'm just going to read some of the artists who were on it so you get to know. But these records are available, and I see that they're now, a lot of them are available on eBay for a little bit more money than you would spend had you bought them last week. But here's a great one. Moving on. This has a bunch of jazz people on it. Freddie Robinson on guitar, Blue Mitchell trumpet, Keith Hartley. This was actually engineered by the great Eddie Kramer. Fred Jackson, Ernie Watts, tenor, Clifford Solomon, alto. This is a jazz fusion record. Before it was probably a name for jazz fusion. I believe this is on Polydor. Here's the Polydor inner. Really clean copy. Right there. Next up is John Mayall. And this is titled let's see. 10-year. This is a 10-year anniversary record. So let's just see what the label looks like. 10 years have gone. That's the Polydor record. And this has a nice gatefold. A lot of his records I have are gatefolds, which is really nice. And just to give you, for instance, of who's on here, Keith Hartley on drums, Sugarcane Harris, violin, Red Holloway, jazz, tenor, and alto sax, Freddie Robinson, Blue Mitchell, Victor Gaskin on bass. This is a great record. It's in pretty good condition. The record's VG Plus, has some wear on it. He always put his lyrics on the records too, which was cool. He was very much into the environment. One album is devoted entirely to cleaning the planet, stopping the pollution in our waters, stop abusing, our gifts, our minerals, and things from the earth. And that was 50 years ago, and we're still talking about that today. So that was kind of cool. Here's Empty Rooms. This has Johnny Allman, John Mark from Mark Allman, Steve Thompson, and Larry Taylor on bass. Larry Taylor, I believe, was in Canned Heat. That's that there. This is a great one. This is a special double album by John and some memorable men, Back to the Roots. So this has a bunch of people that he worked with years before. And on here you have, of course, Eric, Harvey Mandel, Larry Taylor, Keith Hartley, Sugarcane Harris, Mick Taylor, Larry Taylor, Paul Lagos, Eric, Paul Lagos, Mark Allman again. It's a great record. This comes with a nice booklet with lyrics and photos and a little stuff about the guys. Sugarcane Harris is featured there. So it's just an amazing roots or amazing family tree that he produced, the fruits that he produced from his little branch with the Blues Syndicate will never happen again. It's just not possible. Plus, the guy is spanned 70 years or whatever. Here's another jazz blues fusion. This has Blue Mitchell, Clifford Solomon, Rod Salenko, and John's on harmonica, guitar, piano. This is another Polydor record. Just show you that. Excuse the glare with the light. This is one of my last records I bought of him. And I see his records a lot, and I have so many, I didn't pick up everything, but this was one of the cool ones. And this was a DMM, Direct Metal Mastering. And this has on it Walter Trout and Coco Montoya, I mentioned earlier. So this is kind of a newer one. This also has Tony Carey, Bobby Haynes, and some great photos on the back. This is in shrink. And this is on a island, a blue rim island, blue rim. This is pretty cool. This is a 1988 pressing. Here we have one of my favorites, John Mayall, The Last of the British Blues. This has Steve Thompson on bass guitar, James Cole Smith, Soko Richardson, Marilyn Scott, Colleen, and so he has background vocals on this with 4 or 5 ladies. This is a pretty good album. And this album is warmly dedicated to all the previous members. And this will be good. I'm going to read this if you keep me on, if you let me read this, because I didn't see this until now. This album is warmly dedicated to all the previous members of my many bands over the last 15 years. So it's only 15 years. Now we're talking about 2024. This was from 78. A toast to the gifted folks who helped me shape my music. So you may know some of these names, you may not. Some of them are going to jump out of you. Some of them I mentioned. Colin Allen, Ronnie Barron, Jack Bruce, Warren Bryant, Eric Clapton, Roger Dean, Alex Demunsky, Ansley Dunbar, Mick Fleetwood, Hughie Flint, Andy Frazier, Victor Gaskin, Davy Graham, Peter Green, High Tide Harris. I may be mispronouncing some of these, so please excuse that. Sugarcane Harris, Keith Hartley, Dick Hextall Smith, John Heisman, Red Holloway, Jody Linscott, Henry Lowther, Harvey Mandel, John Mark, Jimmy McCulloch, Ray McCurdy, Jerry McCree, Dickie McKinney, John Moot. We're only halfway through. Chris Mercer, Blues Mitchell, Charlie Owens, Alan Patterson, Tony Reeds, Randy Resnick, Solomon Richardson, Freddie Robinson, Gary Lawless, James Quill Smith, Patti Smith, Clifford Solomon, Jay Spell, Nigel Slanger, Larry Taylor, Mick Taylor, Steve Robinson, Steve Thompson, Rick Vito, Mickey Water, Peter Ward, Pepper Watkins, Bernie Watkins, Ernie Watts, and Frank Wilson, alphabetical order. So if you can get this, this is a nice one because he's going way back. And there's the label. So John, the Last of the British Blues. This is a nice English compilation. This is my only import I have. This sounds pretty good. The Collector Series. 4 records. Show you a quick label. British Inner. The Collector Series. But this is a nice gatefold. This is nice laminate. You can see right there. But it's just incredible who he mentored, who he influenced. Bands like Fleetwood Mac, Canned Heat, Keith Hartley's band. You know, the Stones, it rubbed off. He didn't actually touch them. He may have played with them. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know who he guessed it on. Right there. Memories. So this goes back again. And this is actually an autobiography of him. Kind of very very deep lyrics on here. The lyrics are on the album. John Mayall, USA Union. This has, I believe this is a studio recording. But this is a trio. Don Harris on violin, Larry Taylor, and Harvey Mandel on guitar. I'm not certain if there's a drummer on here, but again, you have the lyrics, and you have Nature's Disappearing, Deep Blue Sea, Crying. It's about the environment. So just a quick little tribute to John Mayall. Hope you guys get to investigate some of his music. It's all on YouTube if you can't go out and pick up these CDs or the albums. But like I said, he's a person that we won't see the likes of again. I haven't read any of the statements from people like Clapton or Jack Bruce or Ginger Baker or the people, well, Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker aren't alive anymore, so we won't see those. But I haven't read anything from Clapton or the people who are still around. There's not many people still around. He's 90. Everyone else is probably either older or close to 90, in his 80s. But just a great career. If you get to go on YouTube, see some of his shows, he was pushing blues forward when no one else was, and pushed it right till the day he passed away. I know he was recently touring and then had to stop because of medical reasons. So rest in peace. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the subscriptions. Appreciate all the support.